Thank you. All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining DataCon LA 2021. Welcome to the BI Reporting Business Use Cases track. My name is Hannah, your host, and our co-host today is Hestia. We will be moderating the chat and Q&A for you during the session. Today, we have our guest, Sonia, and she will be giving an Agile Scrum overview. She facilitated Agile Scrum transformation in the entertainment industry with high-performing teams. Sonia is a certified Scrum Master, certified product owner, project management professional with an MBA, and is currently in the Master of Science program in project management at USC and has a BS in business administration from USC. Without further ado, I'll hand this over to the speaker. Thanks for being here, Sonia.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you be co-host and host, and a salute to DataCon LA. So remember when we were before the pandemic, when we were live, Sabash had our happy hour, which was awesome. So salute to DataCon LA. I will start sharing. 1 second, please. Can everyone see my screen?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay, 1 second, please. Let's go to the window. Share. How about now?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. All right. So DataCon LA. So just a little bit more about myself. The majority of my experience includes in project management and in Agile Scrum has been in the entertainment industry. So as you know, in LA, we have Disney, Warner Brothers, Universal Music Group, Fox, Sony Pictures. So I've been privileged to work at many of the studios and also with bringing Agile Scrum into these organizations. So here's our agenda. So we'll go over Agile. What is Agile? Agile history, the values of Agile, the Agile 12 principles. Then we'll go into Scrum, which is a framework within Agile. The Scrum, the Scrum roles, Scrum events, the artifacts of Scrum. We'll talk about a user story. And the most important is the Scrum Guide. It'll be a takeaway for you. And then we'll talk about some certifications you may be interested. We'll also cover some tools, Jira and Velocity Chart. So what is Agile? So Agile is an iterative development approach. So it started off as an approach to software development. But as you know, a lot of different types of organizations and projects have taken on Agile, such as marketing projects, sales projects, and it provides frequent delivery of business value to the customer. So everyone keep in mind those key words. What's important to the business is business value. And Agile provides rapid feedback and a willingness to change. So feedback from the stakeholders and willingness to change from the Scrum team. So here you see Agile development is fast-paced. Let's go into the history of Agile. So before 2001, what was happening in the software industry was that many projects were failing. Why? Because a lot of times the requirements were not clear. The requirements changed. But if you want to look at the overall, the bigger picture, it was because it took too long for the projects to be delivered to the customer. And by the time the customer got the project, the business environment, the business dynamics had changed. In one of my prior organizations, the CIO said no more in-house developed projects because there were too many project failures. And of course, a lot of times, in my experience, the projects were budgeted, approved for 6 months to gather the requirements, and that's how long it would take. And then the budget would be approved next year to do development. And these are larger types of projects. But again, by that time, the business dynamics had changed. So then you'd have to go again and revalidate the requirements. So in 2001, 17 developers, including Jeff Sutherland and Keith Schwaber, met to discuss a lightweight development methods. So they discussed how they could speed up development times to bring new software to market faster. So basically, it was about shortening the delay of benefits to the users and getting feedback from users, stakeholders quickly to confirm the usefulness of new software and continue to improve on it. So thanks to Jeff and Ken, now we have Agile. All right, so here's the Agile Manifesto. Here are the values. Now, we value the items more on my left, individuals and interactions over processes and tools. So if some of you were in projects back in the day that used waterfall, there was a lot of processes, a lot of gates, a lot of documentation. But in Agile, individuals and interactions. So we work with our business users, business subject matter experts. And we value working software over comprehensive documentation. So back in the day when in waterfall projects, we would deliver requirements in a big, hefty manual documentation. And then when we would turn it over to the developer wouldn't read those documentation. So do you think it provided that much value, spending months and months documenting requirements? No. So in Agile, we deliver increments of working software, and the end user, the business, can see the increments of work. The third bullet point, we value customer collaboration over contracts and negotiation. So we collaborate with our customers. In one of my projects, our development teams in Agile Scrum, they would meet daily with their business subject matter expert to confirm the validity and to confirm that they were delivering on the right track. The last bullet item, in Agile,
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, Sonia. Okay, you're not sliding your whole PowerPoint. You're not displaying the.
Okay.
What we're seeing is just the like the whole PowerPoint program with your Agile Scrum Overview with DataCon LA on it.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so 1 second. Okay, let me try again with this entire screen. Thank you for advising.
No worries.
How about now?
Yes, I can see you're on slide 6 now.
Okay, all right. So let me go to the, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that. That's awesome. Awesome feedback. Okay, we're ready to continue?
Yes.
Okay, give everyone a chance to think. All right, so the last bullet point is we respond to change. So as we all know in our experience in projects, the business requirements do change quickly. So they respond to change. For example, when I worked at Universal Studios, the ticket prices would change because Disney made a change. So when Disney changes things, the other studios also follow. So we quickly respond to change versus following a lengthy, heavy plan. All right, and then just to confirm, everyone can see the Agile Manifesto principles screen?
Yes.
All right, so here we'll cover the principles of Agile per the Agile Manifesto, and we'll focus on the blue font. So the Agile Manifesto, when we value of a principle, early and continuous delivery of valuable software. So what's important to the business? So continuous delivery means that at the end of every sprint in the Scrum world, we deliver increments of work. Number two, we welcome changing requirements. So the business dynamics change, the Scrum team responds to the changing requirements. Number three, we deliver working software frequently. So based on the sprints cycle, could be in a week, could be in 2 weeks. The fourth one, the business and developers work together daily throughout the project to confirm and get rapid feedback. Number five, here is the key. Agile is based on motivated individuals. So everyone has to be on that train. If you're not on the Agile Scrum train, folks, you're not doing Agile. So get on board. I had one instance when we were transitioning into Scrum where we did have a challenge with one of our business analysts who was used to doing things the waterfall way. And he did have a challenge. It took maybe about a week, 2 weeks or so for him to get going. And yesterday he called me. We now no longer work in the same company, but he called me. He goes, Sonia, I'm going to be a Scrum Master. Can you help me and give me some advice? So that's awesome to see that people from the team move on to other leadership roles. Number six, face-to-face conversation. This is important. So in Agile, this is what's important, face-to-face. As we all know, now we're in a virtual world. So you show your face via the Zoom, via the WebEx, and you're able to connect with your stakeholders and your subject matter experts. Number seven, we said working software is the primary measure of progress. Number eight, sustainable development. Number nine, we adhere to technical excellence and good design. So we have architecture standards that we need to comply to, DevOps that we need to comply to. 10, simplicity. We maximize the work not done, so what we have in our backlog. 11, here's another key item, self-organizing teams. So the teams are able to do their own leadership without waiting for the Scrum Master, the product owner. They're self-organized. Number 12, another key takeaway. You reflect on how to become more effective. So continuous improvement is part of Agile and Scrum. So now leading into Scrum. So Scrum is a framework within Agile. Teams deliver products in short cycles. The short cycles are sprints. Again, it could be a 1 week sprint. You get fast feedback from your stakeholders, your business users. Another key item is you continuously improve, incremental improvement, and there's rapid adaptation to change. In one of my prior organizations, we had a very high performing team doing 1 week sprints. We had offshore people, we had people in New York, our stakeholders were in New York. So very proud of that high performing team. All right, in Scrum, we have 3 roles. We have a product owner, we have developers, and a Scrum Master. So the product owner holds the vision and maximizes the value of the product that's being developed. The product owner manages the product backlog, and the product backlog is the list of all the work that needs to be done. The developers are the builders. They deliver an increment of done product at the end of each sprint. They're self-managed. The Scrum Master is your Scrum coach. The Scrum Master is a servant leader. The Scrum Master facilitates removing blockers, but of course, the developers have the authority and the power to to remove their blockers as they encounter. And the Scrum Master helps everyone understand the Scrum practices. So in my role in Scrum, I'm the Scrum Master. That's where I fit in. Okay, here's an overview of the Scrum events. So you have the product backlog, and over to my left, the product backlog, as I mentioned, is the list of all the work that needs to be done. Then the team starts planning the sprint. It's the work that's going to go into the sprint. So say if you have a list of 100 items that compiles the list of the work, in sprint planning, you will bring in, say, for example, the 25 items that are the most important to the business, that provide business value. So then the team, the Scrum team, the developers, the product owner, they work on the Scrum in accordance with the sprint cycle. The sprint cycle could be a week, 2 week sprint cycle. And then the team has a daily Scrum. Every day, for 15 minutes, they provide updates on how they're progressing to complete the sprint goal. So your sprint has a sprint goal. And then at the end of the sprint, you deliver the increment, for example, increment of working software. At the end of the sprint, you have a sprint review so that the stakeholders can see your working software, what you're delivering. At the end of the sprint, you have a sprint retrospective, which is at the top toward the screen. It's the retrospective where the team reflects on basically how to improve their next sprint. Okay, so a little bit more into it. So the sprint is the heart of the Scrum. All the work necessary to achieve the product goal includes the sprint planning, the daily Scrum, sprint review, and sprint retrospective happens within the sprints. And the sprint, as I mentioned, it could be a week, it could be 2 weeks in length. Sprint planning, the team plans to meet to determine the work to complete in the upcoming sprint. You have the daily Scrum, so that's where you provide transparency, knowledge, and communication so that every team member, the product owner, the Scrum Master knows what is going on to achieve the sprint goal. It's time boxed to 15 minutes. So each team member provides an update on what they did to advance to the sprint goal. The sprint review, the team presents the completed work done in the sprint to key stakeholders for their review and feedback. And based on their feedback and review, the new work items can be updated into the backlog or new items also added to the backlog. The retrospective. The Scrum team inspects how the last sprint went with regards to individuals, interactions, process, tools, and their definition of done, what they completed within the sprint. So again, the objective is the team commits to complete the stories that they committed to in the sprint. And it's an opportunity to reflect and see how we can identify the most helpful changes to improve the team's effectiveness. The Scrum artifacts, the product backlog. It's a list of what is needed to improve the product. It's a single source of work undertaken by the Scrum team. The sprint backlog, it's the list of everything that the team commits to achieve in a given sprint. So increments of done are the items that were completed within the sprint. So again, the big takeaway is that the team commits to what they're going to complete within a sprint, and that's reflected once it's done in the increments of done. Okay, so think of requirements as a user story. So in Scrum, we break down requirements from the end users into small chunks of work. So keep in mind that a good user story should be independent, stands on its own, negotiable, valuable. A key item is that the story that you're going to work on is of value to the stakeholders, and value per the product owner's vision and roadmap. Estimatable, and it's small so that the team can fit within the iteration, within a sprint, and it's testable. So you assess the quality of a user story with this invest. So here's an example of a user story. So again, the user story is a requirement. So it's written in this format. As a user role or customer, I want to, what's the goal to be accomplished so that I can, and what's the reason for the goal? So as an example, as an ad sales planner, I want to enter the deal number in the ad sales dashboard so that I can search the ad sales by deal number. Acceptance criteria within the user story is accepted conditions or business rules which the functionality or feature should satisfy and meet. So given some precondition, when I do some action, then I expect the result. So for example, when I open the ad sales dashboard and enter the deal number, then the ad sales by deal number displays. Okay, the Scrum Guide. So the Scrum Guide provides the rules of the game. So the Scrum Guide was written by Jeff Sutherland and Ken Schwaber. So this is the guide that you want to familiarize with to get familiarity and up your game with Scrum. Scrum certifications. Now, here's another opportunity to up your game. You can distinguish yourself as a Scrum practitioner, a certified Scrum Master, a certified product owner, a certified Scrum developer. Now, to get certified, you'd have to take an official training course through the Scrum Alliance's training courses. And here is the link to the training courses. When I took my certified Scrum Master and certified product owner courses, of course, this was prior to the pandemic, so it was held in a hotel for 2 days. So of course the training courses were individual. One weekend I took the certified Scrum Master, another weekend I took the product owner. And so the beauty of it is that you're with people from different organizations, and it's really fun and exciting. They make it fun, and you have hands-on practice. At the end of the course, you have the opportunity to take the certification test. When I took the certified Scrum Master test, it was open book, approximately 30 or 35 questions. So honestly, it's a quick hit. Unlike the PMP, Project Management Professional, that was studying for about 6 months and a gruesome test of hours. So certified Scrum Master, certified product owner, certified Scrum developer, highly encouraged, and it's doable. Okay, tools. So one of the tools that I used in Scrum was Jira. And Jira is used to create your user story, to plan sprints, and distribute tasks across the team. The beauty of it is it provides transparency. So you can see by looking at your dashboard where the work is. For example, is the work still in to-do, meaning it hasn't started? Is the work still in progress? Is the work in code review, or is the work actually done? And of course, you want to get all your stories done before the end of the sprint. So there are other tools, Jira, Rally, Right, other tools, but I would say Jira is one of the top tools to use. And for a larger organization, it is very great because you could also see what other Scrum teams are doing. So in other words, you don't have to go to the developer and ask the developer, have you completed your story? Is it done yet? You could just look at your Jira dashboard. Okay, within Jira, you also have the ability to generate charts. For example, the velocity chart. So the velocity chart gives you transparency, gives the stakeholders, upper management to see how you committed your stories versus what you completed within the sprint. So it's a way to measure the velocity, how the team is doing. So in this chart, you could see the team started, well, actually the team committed and completed their stories. So the green is what they completed. So sometimes there's changes or there's reasons why the team didn't complete their stories on time. But of course, you always want to have a high-performing team who completes their stories within the sprint. Okay, some references for you to take away with. So we talked about the Agile Manifesto. We talked about the Scrum Guide. We talked about the Scrum Alliance, which also is a great resource for your certifications as well. And then also to get more insight and learning on how to write a user story, you could go to this site, Software Testing Help. So embrace it. User stories are fun to write. Okay, connect. So I'm on LinkedIn, my email, and KJLH is kindness, joy, love, and happiness. All right. So that concludes the presentation. So let's go into questions.
I don't think there's any questions so far, but does anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask Sonia?
I had a question. Has there been instances in your experience where people were against adopting this type of framework because, it's just not how it's been done? And if so, do you have any advice or how did you approach that?
Yes, good question. That's a very good question because it does happen in the workplace. And yes, I did have the experience. So one of the experiences was that I previously mentioned was with the business analyst who didn't have any Agile Scrum experience, and we transitioned rapidly into Agile Scrum. And he was still, in the waterfall mindset. So the way that I approached it was I worked directly, hand in hand, with the business analyst. And of course, I provided training. And the biggest takeaway that he needed support with was with writing the user stories. So I coached him on how to write the user stories, just like I showed you in that example slide. And then, okay, work with him. Okay, let's write your user story, write it together. Sometimes you got to take baby steps. And then I said, okay, then he'd write the user story and then I'd review it, give him feedback, he'd update the user story. So it was iterative improvements. Another example where actually it was a product owner. Product owner did have challenges with adopting to Scrum. The product owner wanted it, of course, the biggest challenge for that product owner and for the team, you may have experienced this as well, as they say, there's too many Scrum events, meaning too many meetings. And they say that they're spending more time in meetings than doing the work. So that was feedback, and it was taken up to the SVP. And so what the agreement was that we'd combine the events. into smaller periods. So we really collapse the events into smaller periods. And then, for example, in the backlog refinement, just the product owner and the business analysts would do their do the backlog refinement of the user stories. So yes, we did do a compromise and work, and we even had to stop the Scrum for a while because the Scrum, actually the product owner wanted to take a step back and and get his backlog better and improved. So we did actually have to stop the Scrum at the request of the product owner and SVP. So yes, I've had encounters with anti-patterns of adopting to Scrum. So you work with your product owner, you work with the team, you work with your PMO office, and you, if necessary, you elevate it up to your PMO office, who elevates it up to the SVP. But eventually, yes, Agile Scrum is competitive advantage. So it's a one-way approach to get the team on board with Agile Scrum. Any other questions?
I see Lou has a question in the Q&A. So Agile is not just for software developer, but also for data analytics or
Yes.
any company products, correct?
That's correct. Yes, exactly. And actually, in one of my prior organizations, I was in the data analytics team, and we had all those teams on Agile Scrum. So for analytics, yes, definitely, it's used in Scrum, and then also for marketing campaigns. So now it's more widely used for non-software development products as well. Yes, definitely.
Any other questions? Okay.
I think I have one.
Yes.
Is there a time where you actually struggled in as a project manager? How did you fix that?
So as Scrum Master, you mean? Because we're talking about Scrum or as project manager? Okay.
I guess as a both as a Scrum Master or as a project manager, where there's like too many cooks and everybody's like fighting over their leadership roles.
Okay, so that's a great question. So in one of my prior organizations, actually we were Scrum Master / project manager. So what that means is you're doing Scrum Master duties plus some of the traditional project manager duties. For example, some of the traditional project manager duties include status reports in PowerPoint presentations, doing roadmaps, working with the business. So yes, there were some times where you get challenges on who's doing what, but you have to come back to those three roles. So the three roles are clearly defined within Scrum. You have the Scrum Master, you have the product owner, and then you have the developer team. And so a lot of times as Scrum Master, you do have to coach your product owner into what their role is, especially in planning for the sprints and in maintaining the backlog and in updating their roadmap, creating their roadmaps. So one of my organizations, we transitioned into Scrum, but it was very fast paced. Whereas in one of my first Scrum projects, actually was at Disney, they brought in 2 consultants, Agile Scrum consultants, and they gave us in-house 2 days of training to the whole team, to the product owner, to the developers, and of course the Scrum Master, and to the stakeholders, the business, to the key stakeholders. So there, I think the product owner actually got fully trained and was fully aware of his responsibilities. So I think the key thing is to have full training for the product owners as well as for the business, so that everyone understands their roles and responsibilities and the Agile Scrum processes. I think that's the key.
Does anyone else have any questions? I think there's a new one. Lu Wang asked, what background in business could you help to be a good Scrum Master? Do you need to know the business to be Scrum Master?
Okay, so I would say yes, you would need to understand the business, because that's what you're delivering products. So for example, I've been a technical Scrum Master as well as a business Scrum Master. So you do need to understand the business, but you have opportunities to understand the business if you don't. Say, for example, you're on a technical project, but it's delivering, for example, one of my projects was delivering sales Tableau dashboards. So the tool is Tableau, right? It's a report generating system, but the business was sports sales. So you need to understand the business. So for example, in sports, we deliver the TV advertising. That's where the big dollar revenues are generated in TV advertising in what's called upfronts. So you do need to understand the business, but the business will help you understand. You just ask the business before in project planning, you go through understanding what's the business problem that you're trying to solve. It's called an A3 sheet to identify the business problem. What's the key objective that you're understanding? What's the scope of the project? What are the assumptions? What are the risks? So some of the basic learnings from the business perspective, get the business perspective to help you understand that and identify from the persona, from the user's point of view, so that you could understand the business. But the business will definitely help you get them engaged early on.
Awesome. All right. Since it's 10:10, we'll wrap this up. Thank you, Sonia, for your presentation and the attendees for the questions during this session. You can contact the speaker directly if there are any further questions regarding this topic. Please provide your feedback using the form that will be provided in the chat box. And thank you again, everyone, for joining today's presentation. And I hope you can gain some insights from this session. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for being part of this year's DataCon LA.
Thank you, Hannah, Hestia. Fight on, DataCon LA. Happy Hispanic Heritage Month. Fight on.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Sonia.
you. It's a joy. Bye.
Bye.